So, Jake, a lot of free time on your hands now, I suspect, what with the quarantine and all, am I right?
Dude, way too much free time. Way too much free time. In fact, I finally got around to scratching off all of the countries I've been to on my scratch off world map, and then it just made me super disappointed that I can't scratch anything off anymore.
Well, I assume that you're drowning your sorrows by, getting fat and watching the TV, right?
Dude, I'm watching a ton of TV, yes, I can't deny that. Way too much. But I'm actually getting huge, man, and not in like a fat way. Like I'm bulking like crazy. This is kind of like forcing me not to cardio so much, but I'm actually eating really clean and just lifting, bro. I'm getting huge.
So, for those of you who may not know Jake personally, when he says he's bulking and eating clean, what he means is he's taking the needle pretty hard. So, you
Oh,
just you
yeah.
just got to read between the lines.
Every day. Every day, man. I love the needle, you're right.
Well, and I assume that you're getting caught up on your Dark Side of the Ring.
Dude, Dark Side of the Ring. It's just a fantastic documentary series. I highly recommend it to everyone, much like I've been highly recommending it to you, son.
Clearly, and I think that your life goal should be to one day make it on Dark Side of the Ring.
I could live with that, man. I could live with a documentary about my life and them talking about all the good and then all the cool things and then the horrible turn it took. Even though I don't know what turn that would be. Do you have any ideas?
I don't know. Like, I mean, there's one of two ways you could go, but I think a lot of this somebody just snaps and does something terrible, but you could always just try and go for the got signed, went out on top kind of thing. But I don't know if that gets you on the show. You
Well,
might have to go out in some kind of a blaze of glory.
I say does do it no okay. Do I or do I not have a drug problem? Does someone kill me or do I kill somebody else? Do I commit suicide? What is the best end to my story? Because with this show, Dark Side of the Ring, these are the ways it goes, man. So what is the Jake Omen story?
How about this? Maybe
Drove off a bridge.
maybe
They
you
never found my body.
Well, I'm thinking you get to the highest heights, right? Like you
Mhm.
get a real lucrative contract with the WWE, and then you just hit it way too hard and you
Mhm.
burn out. Whether it's you punch Vince in the face, you impregnate his daughter, you get hooked on drugs, you figure that out. But
I'll do all
then
of
you
them.
just get
All of them
oh
sound good.
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to impregnate his daughter, punch him in the face while I'm high on PCP.
Oh yeah, and then you're out of the WWE and you need money to survive, so you rob a bank and disappear to Mexico. I
Dude,
mean, no one knows if you're alive or dead.
do you know that one of my buddies robbed a bank?
Are you serious? Was it Dylan?
No, it's one of Dylan's best friends, though. It's one of our good friends. We call him Daddy. His name's Jason, but we totally call him Daddy.
Hmm.
I know it sounds
I
weird.
know nothing of this.
He also goes by Big Mill. And actually, so a few months ago, Big Mill came out to a show with us, and I introduced my buddy Blake, who's also my trainee, to Big Mill. They got to hang out for the night. Now I'm going to describe this. Big Mill is a short, bald, overweight man with glasses. He is like the definition of a nerdy dude. You would think he's a D&D fan. He's very wrestling fan. He's the greatest guy ever. He's such a cool guy. So I let Blake spend the whole night with Big Mill, and then at the end of the night, I was like, "Hey, man, you want to hear something crazy? He once robbed a bank. He like went nuts, decided he wanted to go to prison, and he robbed a bank." And Blake didn't believe me for a week or two, and I texted Dylan. I was like, "Hey, dude, I need you to send me Big Mill's mugshot photo right now because I googled it. I tried to find it. Like I googled his full name and the city he got arrested in, but I couldn't find the article anymore." And Blake didn't believe me until eventually I finally found the mugshot. Dylan sent it to me. I was like, "Yeah, man, here's here's Big Mill's mugshot, bro." And he popped.
So he legitimately tried to go to prison or wanted to go to prison, so he robbed a bank.
Yeah, he's got some mental issues, and he just got like super depressed and just decided like life would be easier if he was in prison. So he went and robbed a bank, and he got away with it for a few days, and then I'm pretty sure he turned himself in because he actually just wanted to get caught. And then eventually his lawyer argued that he wasn't in his right mind because who in their right mind wants to go to prison? And then they ended up letting him go and put him on probation and house arrest for a long time. And I'm pretty sure he's off. Like he's completely clean now to do whatever he wants, and he's more well balanced. But yeah, he's a G, dude.
Well, old boy was a successful bank robber. The only reason he got caught was because he turned himself in.
Well, yeah, but they had like a crystal clear photo of him on the security camera.
Oh, so like a matter of time kind of thing.
Yeah, they totally would have found him. And it was in Greenfield, so it's not like in a metropolitan city and he didn't knock off a bank somewhere else where they wouldn't have found him. Yeah, he totally would have gotten caught. But yeah, he just was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to rob a bank. So yeah, I mean, I could rob a bank to pay for drugs.
Well, now I think I'm the weird one. Like I've never woken up in the morning and thought, you know what? I should rob a bank. What's wrong with me?
I've never just woken up and thought it, but like throughout the course of the day, it's come up in my head before. Like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I should just rob a bank.
To bring it back to the dark side of the ring, I mean, I think your goal should be just to out G New Jack, man. Take him off the top.
Oh man, I can't out G a guy like New Jack. First, I will tell everybody if they want to pause this episode right now, go to YouTube or go to vicetv.com to find the New Jack episode of Dark Side of the Ring. It's called The Life and Crimes of New Jack and watch it. You can watch that now because it will make my story better. You can still watch this after. Regardless, you need to watch it. However, if you watch it now before you hear this, it'll make the story make more sense. For the people who don't know,
get that added context.
Yeah, the added context. For the people who don't, though, I'm going to give a quick synopsis of New Jack. So New Jack is a professional wrestler. He's still wrestling to this day at 57. He started, I think, early 90s, maybe. And New Jack is what his name would imply, which is a gangster. So he got the name, obviously, from the thug movie New Jack City. Have you ever seen it?
Oh, yeah, with my boy Wesley? Hell yeah.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, New Jack City, thugged out movie, gangsters, whatever. This dude, thugged out dude, gangster, steals the name New Jack, starts wrestling, and he starts wrestling in the South. So he gets given a character where he's a white hating gangster and he's like a murderer and this and that. He got like nuclear heat. Everyone hated him everywhere he went. And he would like talk mad trash on white people in a great, hilarious way. They also bring that up in the documentary. I first saw New Jack.
Wait. I do have one question, though, because I haven't seen that episode.
Yeah.
Did they leave his tag partner, Homeboy, out of it, or did they at least mention him?
They only brought up his tag partner in the like a few different ways. They didn't talk to him or anything. I don't know if he's still alive.
I'm going to pour some out for Homeboy. He's the reason New Jack got where he is in life. Let's be real about it.
And his partner was gigantic. New Jack was a smaller dude, but he was great at talking and riling people up and starting riots. And this is back when riots were like a thing that happened in professional wrestling because people believed it and professional wrestlers were actually good at what they do. So New Jack would rile all these people up. I first saw him in ECW and he was like this over the top, violent dude. He would jump from balconies. He would stab dudes in the ring, bleed all over the place, use a bunch of weapons. So boom, that's New Jack. In the course of this documentary, they go and are talking to New Jack and bringing up some of the times he took it a little bit too far because it was a common theme of New Jack's career where he just sometimes took things way too far.
As we all do from time to time, you just get real into your job, and you want to go above and beyond. So you just cut the out of someone,
Yeah, exactly. So at one point in ECW, this kid lied to get a match with New Jack, and then in the locker room, he disrespected New Jack. So New Jack just started stabbing the dude in the head, and the dude started bleeding all over the place. They rushed him to the hospital. He almost died. And then they asked New Jack what happened. He's like, yeah, he disrespected me, so I tried to kill that MF. Da-da-da-da-da. I didn't care if he died. I wish he would have died. And then eventually they'd say something else, be like, well, yeah, I mean, of course I was high on cocaine. And then,
well, yeah. I mean, obviously.
Of course I was a little high on cocaine. And then like they talk about a thing a year later where he crossed the line again. He's like, yeah, man, that dude disrespected me and he wasn't acting like I was beating the shit out of him, even though I was. So, man, I tried to kill him. And yeah, of course I was a little bit high on cocaine, but yeah, I wish he would have died.
You remember the Chappelle Show back in the day?
I remember all Chappelle Show back in the day, bro.
It sounds like New Jack was Rick James before. I mean, obviously Rick James is older, but he was using cocaine as an excuse before Rick James on the Chappelle Show, man.
Yeah, he was, dude. And he was probably doing more cocaine, and probably, well, I won't say better cocaine. I'm sure Rick James could afford the good stuff. But New Jack was definitely going quantity over quality on his cocaine. if you get what I'm saying.
Spoiler alert. Do you know what actually wound up killing that dude that New Jack stabbed?
Oh, no, I don't. They talked about it. They brought up something.
Complications from gastric bypass surgery.
Oh, yeah. That was
You
it.
stood up to a stabbing from New Jack, but then you died from gastric bypass. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, and like, I mean, because the kid was gigantic. He was also 17. He lied and said he was 21, but he was gigantic 17-year-old kid. And it did mess him up though, because like it paralyzed some of the muscles in his face, and it was just a real bad situation altogether. I should say, New Jack is not the good guy in this story. It's just it's so ridiculous that you can't help but laugh at certain parts, knowing that most people are okay. There's another dude. He threw a dude off this balcony, off of like a gigantic scaffolding, and the dude hit a bunch of tables and the ropes and almost died. He's like, "Yeah, I threw him. I was trying to throw him all the way to the concrete floor. I wanted him to die." And of course, I was high on cocaine.
Are you just going to use that as an excuse for anything that happens in the ring from now on?
Oh, dude.
It's like, oh man, you paralyzed that guy. Yeah, of course I did. I was trying to. I was also high on cocaine.
Yeah. See, he's not blaming cocaine for anything. It's just his normal lifestyle. His homeostasis is cocaine. So, like, he's 98.6 temperature. He's high on cocaine. That's his normal. No, he's taking responsibility for, yeah, I tried to kill him. I totally knew what I was doing, and I tried to kill him. It's not like someone who's using it as an excuse like, oh, man, sorry, I was drunk when I hit you the other night, bro. But no, he's like, well, yeah, I hit him. But side note, I was also on cocaine, completely unrelated.
Right. They're thinking about, what was that, Monday? I did that. And I know because I was real high, and I remember where I got my drugs. So, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't do it because of the drugs. But, yeah, there were drugs.
Right. That's just part of the story, man. It was a Monday. I got high.
Exactly. You should watch it, everyone on Vice TV, The Life and Crimes of New Jack. So, in short, New Jack, the crazy dude. Did I say that the backstory they said in ECW that he was a former bounty hunter and he had 4 justifiable homicides, which means you killed someone because it was self-defense and you had to. And then he talks about a story of his dad like stabbing his mom when he was a kid. So that's just the vibe of this story.
He's got an affinity for stabbing from childhood, apparently.
Love stabbing, bro. Love stabbing. That is just to get to my story today, my tiny little blurb of a story.
Yeah, I like how we've got like a 10-minute build up talking about how G New Jack is and how you're going to rob a bank to pay for drugs just to get to this point.
Yeah. So, but it's really important that people know about New Jack. It's a great documentary. In, I believe it was 2012, I went down to Orlando for about a month. My friend, who is a referee for WWE now, got signed to WWE from Indiana. And he's like, hey man, do you want to come stay with me in Florida for a while? You might meet some people. You can have some fun. We're going to be living on the beach. So I was like, yeah, sure, man. So I went down to Tampa and I crashed with my buddy on the couch for about a month, just sleeping on his couch and hanging out with the kid and whatnot. The month was great. I would like get up, work out. I'd go to a coffee shop. I'd read. I'd go to the beach. I'd go work out again. But at the time I was like, I was kind of looking around from jobs. I wasn't really finding too much. And, after a couple of weeks of staying on my buddy's couch, I was like, man, I got to figure something else out because, I can't stay on my buddy's couch forever. And it was a small place. It was dope, but it was a small place. And I was like, am I going to go home? Like, am I going to go somewhere else? Am I going to do something different? So a group of dudes from Indiana were driving down to Miami because it was coming up on WrestleMania weekend. So they drove down. They're like, hey, they're going to stop in Tampa, crash for a day or two, and then go down to Miami. So this group of 4 dudes come down, and I didn't know any of them directly. I just knew them through mutual friends, and they trained at a school in Lafayette, a wrestling school, where I knew a bunch of the dudes. So it was like we were already best friends because that's how the wrestling business works. Like if you're a friend of a friend, you're already friends even though you don't know each other. And they're like, hey, dude, do you just want to come down to Miami with us? We got a little bit of extra room in the car. We got a little bit extra room in the hotel rooms. Come down and chill with us at the beach for a couple days and go to WrestleMania. So I was like, yeah, man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll do that. And I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and take my own car though, so you don't have to come back up to Tampa on the way out. And then if I decide to go somewhere else, I can just go. Or as we've covered in previous episodes, I would just totally sleep in my Astro van in Miami for like 3 weeks if I decided, hey, I just want to stay in Miami now.
Well, that and peddle drugs on the beach from your van.
Dude, I could have gotten so much of that Cuban cocaine in my van. Oh God, that would have made me better friends with New Jack. I really dropped the ball, Pete. This was
I mean, seriously, you already had the green and purple van, and if you're going to move weight, you may as well do it and buddy up with Mr. New Jack.
I really wanted to be his friend too. Anyway, I kind of became his friend later. So I was like, all right, cool, man. I'll just follow you guys down. So I followed these dudes down to Miami, and it kind of ended my time in Tampa. So we go down to Miami. It's like a 4-hour drive. It's a big state. We go down and we kind of hit the beach for like half a day. That was cool. And then we're like chilling in Miami. And just a little backstory on WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania is the biggest professional wrestling show of the year. Usually has like 60, 70,000 people, if not more. People come from all over the world to it. So it's a big party. And then every smaller wrestling company does a few shows that weekend to piggyback off of the fact that there's 80,000 fans in the area. So one of the dudes I was in the car with, a dude named Brian, claimed to be a production manager or producer with a company called Dragon Gate USA, which is like a bigger professional wrestling company. And they were a part of what's called WrestleCon, which obviously is a big wrestling convention weekend. So they had shows Friday night, Saturday night, and then obviously WrestleMania is on Sunday. So Brian is like, hey, I can get you guys security gigs or whatever Friday and Saturday night. DGUSA, maybe you'll meet some of the right people and have some fun. So yeah, sure, we agree. No big deal. That being said, every time someone offers you a job like that to like get your foot in the door and meet the right people, it never works. It's always
You know that one time it's going to work, and you're not going to be there, and you're just be like, damn it. And that's how like Gage is going to get signed because he took your security job, man.
I hope, but more than anything, that's exactly how my buddy Gage gets signed. I hope that's how all my friends get signed because the only time that's ever worked, it worked for them. And that's why we do it. Is like, you know what? It could be my time. It will never be my time. Spoiler alert. It was never Jake Omen's time.
Fast forward, Jake didn't get it done.
Yeah, Jake didn't get a job. That's 15 years. That's most of the Jake Omen story. He didn't get the job. So there ended up having a ton of people that obviously wanted to try and do those extra odds and ends jobs for the weekend. The extra 4 of us were the ticket takers and the security. 2 dudes were sitting down there taking tickets and taking money. And then there were just kind of 2 of us sitting at the end of the table that were doing legit nothing, which was cool with me because I would have much rather sat there and done nothing and watched the show for free than actually have to like take tickets and interact with people and do any customer service related things. So we're sitting there. And like I said, this is a huge weekend where there are legitimately 100 or 200 professional wrestlers just kind of running around. There's all these old timers and legends and they're signing autographs and taking pictures and everything. So the ring is in the middle of this gigantic room and there's all these people coming and going the whole time. So it's kind of a tricky job working the door to know who to let in and not let in. Because there's a lot of people we just aren't going to know, even though there's somebody. Like one of the dudes that actually helps run the convention is not a wrestler, and he came to run in, and I was like, "Oh, excuse me, man, who are you with, or do you have a ticket?" And he's like, "Oh, I run high spots." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, I didn't know." Cool.
I'm terribly sorry I didn't see your fanny pack, sir. I'm sorry.
Dude, yeah, if he had a fanny pack, I wouldn't have questioned him. Because at one point on Friday night, this dude came in. He was probably 6'1", 6'2", probably 230 or 240 pounds. He had on the world's tightest t-shirt. He was super jacked. He was probably 55 years old, maybe 60. He had on this power mustache, like a Selleck mustache. He even had like that kind of a hair, slightly balding, but the dude looked good. And he had on these like super tight jeans and his leather fanny pack and a gold chain. This was the most professional wrestler looking human I have ever seen in my entire life. That being said, I didn't know who he was. I had no idea who he was. So this dude comes in and he shakes the hands of all 4 of us, which is another wrestler thing to do is the handshake. So shake, 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 shake. He's like, "Oh, how you boys doing tonight?" And we're like, "Oh, we're great, man. How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm doing great." We talk for a second and then we're like, "All right, man, well, enjoy the show." And he walks away. All 4 of us turn to each other like, "Hey, man, who is that?" And none of us knew. Like, none of us had any idea who that was. We found out the next day, or maybe it was late that night, that it was a dude named Brian Blair. who was like a star in the 80s, early 90s, but like not like a huge name star, just like a middle of the road star. But yeah, B. Brian Blair was the most professional looking man I've ever seen in my life. So he got in for free.
Does he still take bookings?
I don't know, but I would totally book B. Brian Blair. He was part of a team, I think, with Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, and they were the Killer Bees. So B. Brian Blair is a dude I would bring into White River Wrestling just because he looks the part.
You talk about that like you talk about how you're going to bring in Hino, but it's not happened.
Yeah, well, I'm actually going to bring in Hino. I probably won't actually bring in Brian Blair. Dude, I can't fly anywhere right now. There's no wrestling. Also, I don't think Japanese people are allowed in the country right now because no one's allowed in our country, apparently.
Look, you're not allowed to immigrate, and he's not from China. He just has to specify he's a J, not a C. He'll be okay.
Oh, man. Our president doesn't even know the difference between J's and C's and K's.
Look, you got to help him out. Just say, hey, bro, I'm J. It's fine. And wear the fanny pack. I bet Trump is a wrestling fan, and I don't mean that in an offensive fashion, but I bet Trump respects the work, man. Dude. And I don't mean the actual physical work. I mean the work.
Dude, you know he was involved in a match at WrestleMania once, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
He was involved in a match at WrestleMania in Detroit. I was there, too, in standing room only obscured seats, which means I saw nothing at all.
But you were there, bro.
I was there. I couldn't even see the screen to see what was going on.
Oh, no.
But I was there. Anyway, but yeah, I'm sure he's totally a fan. I'm going to bring in Hino, though. Probably not Brian Blair unless he's cheap and lives close. So there's all these wrestlers walking in and out. So on Friday night, New Jack walks in. He walks past guy number 1 taking tickets, guy number 2 taking tickets. I'm guy number 3 in the 4-man order here. As he's walking in, he looks over at myself and the other dude, myself and this dude named Matt. And I guess he assumed we were the only dudes that looked like potentially security that he should talk to. He looks at us. He's like, hey, y'all don't got to search me, do you? I'm like, what? Yeah, y'all don't got to search me, do you? Make sure I'm not carrying that heat. And I'm like, nah, man, you're good. And he just laughs and smiles and walks away. Now, he said it in a joking way. He was obviously joking and laughing and having a good time. But he also looked like, I'm half joking, I might have a gun.
Why didn't you just pull out your gun and be like, nah, dog, if stuff pops off, I got you?
Dude, I wish I had on a jacket and some heat inside and I could have opened it real cool and been like, hey, bro, was down. I got your back. We would have became friends.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's Friday night, and that was our interaction with New Jack. The best part of the story, Saturday night, New Jack comes strolling in. Now, on Friday night, New Jack was jovial. He was happy. He was smiling, Pete. But on Saturday night, New Jack looked like he was there to murder somebody in cold blood. Like, legit, the look in his eyes was pure hatred, anger, focus, determination. New Jack might have offed somebody in the parking lot, probably by stabbing.
Oh, man, Mass Transit wasn't in the audience that night, was he?
He wasn't, but it looked like Mass Transit was in there. He knew it, and he was coming to collect. You know what I mean?
Ooh, snap.
Yeah. There was a price on someone's head. New Jack was coming to collect. So he walks in, and he's got that swagger that says, I've murdered 4 people, and not a smile.
Justifiably.
Yeah, justifiably. He's justifiably murdered 4 people, and then probably a lot of other people not so justifiably. He walks in, passes guy number 1, guy number 2. Now, he was not going to say anything to me, Pete. That's a key part of the story. He was not going to say anything.
Disrespect.
Yeah, he wasn't going to say anything to either of us. But as he's walking in, I stand up and I stick out my arm and I'm like, hey, bro. So he kind of like walks into it with his shoulder. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm going to need to search you before you go in. He turns and looks at me and his head starts to tilt ever so slightly. And I'm like, he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm going to need you to put your hands up on the wall. I got to search you, make sure you ain't got that heat. And his head keeps tilting more and more, kind of like Stewie and Family Guy. Like,
oh no!
Like, what?
You just compared New Jack to Stewie?
Yeah, imagine if Stewie was like Eazy-E level gangster here, and his head's tilting, but it's tilting in a way that's like a hand on the clock counting down my upcoming death. You know, like right. 3, 2, 1 until his head is pretty much like 90 degrees to where it was. He's gonna murder me. So the dude to the right of me, Matt, and then there's other 2 dudes to my left. I'm trying to think. One was Brian, and then I can't remember the other dude's name. But they all are shocked. They are horrified for me. The fact is that he might start stabbing me and then stab them by accident because that's how angry he looks. Like
we call that collateral damage.
Yeah.
They were about to get stabbed.
like these three dudes have a look on their face like they can already foresee the chalk line of my body drawn on the floor in the middle of this ballroom. New Jack looks at me and I let it sink in just for a second. Where it's like he's like, what the F did this white boy just say to me? And like he's trying to comprehend what's coming next. So I let it settle for a few seconds, which those few seconds seemed like 10 minutes to everyone involved. Much like the one time I was hanging out with somebody and I thought they died and I thought they were dead for like 90 seconds. And then they came back to life. Yeah, I can't tell that on the podcast. That's an Ask Me in Person story. But like 90 seconds doesn't seem like a long time until you think someone died and you might have had something to do with it. And then they come back to life and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, man. My heart just stops sometimes. So, but then I wait for him. I know I'm timing this out. The amount of time I can get away with this before he pulls out his knife and starts hacking my forehead. By the way, his forehead has been cut up so much it looks like ground beef. It's one of those dudes. Google him.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. So I'm like, and then I take my other hand and I go and pat him on the shoulder. I'm like, I'm just kidding, brother. You have yourself a great night. And I do it in like such a laughing over the top way where his head, like it does 3 or 4 ticks back up in like the normal neutral position before he realizes, I guess this dude was maybe trying to joke with me, but he doesn't crack a smile. And he's just like gives me that kind of look and then just walks away confused.
So was that the closest you've ever come to death?
Probably. Yeah. What other stuff? I've done a lot of stuff where I feel like I've come close to death, Pete. You've probably heard more of it than anyone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and this seems like you just, like, you're looking at the devil and you're just taunting him.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, he might kill me, but let's see where this goes. And that's a very Jake thing to do, I feel.
Oh, yeah, man. It was great. It was like when I got in Seamus's face and everyone standing at my sides. I didn't say that name in the episode. So if you listen to that episode, you get it now. But like everyone like to my sides were just like, oh my God. And then, I ended up winning. I won the situation because I'm apparently not scared of anything and I'm half stupid.
We should turn that into a message about life. Win the small battles. And one day you can grow up to be like Jake Coleman.
Yeah, especially if I end up having, a sweet few year career and then I burn out like a star.
Yeah, but you will have impregnated a McMahon, so your son and or daughter will probably get a contract.
There was I think only one female McMahon to impregnate, and Triple H did it. He did it a bunch of times.
Actually, there's 2. You're forgetting Vince's wife, aren't you?
Yeah, I'd go for it if I thought it would give me a job.
It'll get you some kind of job.
Give me something. Yeah, she runs Trump's big super PAC. Did you know?
I did not know. See, look, man, just get in tight with Trump. It'll get you a job. You might have an easier time with that because I don't know that Trump has a whole lot of friends right now.
I bet it's easier to get into the Trump White House than it is to get into WWE.
That's probably true. You don't even have to have had a football career.
Yeah, 15 years of trying to get into WWE has yielded 0, Pete. But at least it got me some good stories like almost getting killed by New Jack and almost getting killed by Sheamus and getting stranded in a lot of countries. So that's pretty sweet.
And exploring your options once you get toward the end of your career. Just make it big and lose real big.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 10-year plan that's as good as any.
Now that you brought up me punching Vince and doing drugs, I should get high on PCP and try and fight the whole locker room. Because, if you're high on PCP, apparently you don't feel pain and you can fight big groups of people. Like those dudes that get high on PCP and fight like 6 cops.
It's amazing. I have read what blocking pain receptors does to you because a lot of your limitations with strength are about your discomfort or you get tired or it hurts. That's why you quit. It's not because you're physically unable. So if you remove all of that, you're a hell of a lot stronger than you ever thought you were.
Dude, why don't people do PCP before they try and bench press or deadlift?
I think focus might be the issue with some of that.
All right. And then next time I go for a PR, never mind.
Just make sure it's on YouTube, bruh. Just get the views.
I'll be one of those dudes that tries to put up so much weight my elbows explode. and I end up like a epic gym fail video.
I like how dudes will go until their nose bleeds and then just kind of shrug it off. I'm like, no, you probably have hit the absolute limit before your body just explodes. Maybe back it down a little.
Yeah, Russ Jones would do something like that and then just get up like nothing's wrong and keep going. He told me a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago that he felt bad because he was kind of a dick to someone at the gym because he was doing like super heavy shoulder shrugs. Apparently he passed out for a second, hit his head on a weight and fell to the floor. And some dude was like, "Holy crap, man, are you okay?" and tried to help him up. And Russ just like, "No, I'm fine. Just passed out a little bit." And then we're right back to lifting.
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah, it's fine, man. My heart just stopped for a minute. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I just passed out a little bit. Off.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, and that's what he told me. He said, he's like, I should probably apologize. I'm like, yeah, maybe, Russ.
What happens if somebody next to him passes out again and that dude just ignores it? He's like, oh, no, this is normal. People just pass out sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what if that guy dies, Russ? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, if the dude wasn't in super athletic shape, he might think that's normal. And he's like, I guess I should be passing out myself.
Although about the most toolish thing I've seen at the gym was a guy, I think it might have been shoulder shrugs, but he was acting like they were deadlifts. But in between each one set rep, he'd hit smelling salts, and the dude only had 245s on each side of the bar. It's like, man, get out of here. Just get out of here.
Man, that's pretty funny, though. But, yeah, lame. Anyway, and yeah, the one last little thing about that story, I will say, so I ended up getting that night, my friend Nadine ended up coming down to Miami too from Tampa. We ended up getting like $20 seats to WrestleMania on Sunday night. We weren't planning on going, but so we were in like the very last row out of like 70,000 people. And so we got up that morning at like 7 a.m. to start the day. WrestleMania got over at like midnight. I think I was back in my car exiting the parking lot at 2 a.m. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to drive back to Indiana, but I'll probably stop halfway and sleep in the car for a while. I ended up driving 22 hours straight home, man, from Miami.
Was it because of the PCP, or how did you manage that?
No, New Jack didn't even give me anything. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what, I was on one, man. I was like, you know what? I guess I'm just really focused to get home. I tried to pull over in Tennessee and sleep for a minute because I finally got tired when I hit Tennessee. So I pulled over, jumped in the back of the car, tried to sleep for about 20 minutes. And the second you like switch positions to try and sleep in the car, sometimes that wakes you up enough where you're like, well, I guess I'm not going to sleep. And I just hop right back in the car. I think I grabbed a coffee at that gas station or whatever and then finished the drive home, man. So I was up for like 40-ish, 45-ish hours.
Man, that's like the worst when you're tired, but you're like cognizant about being tired and you've got stuff to do to where it keeps you awake. Mm-hmm. It's like, dang it. I just want to get some quick sleep. Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, just a power nap would have helped everything. You know, I try to do that on the road plenty. It's just like, yep, just a power nap. That's all I need.
The timing on that's terrible. Like the sweet spot, I think, is more than 10, but less than 30. You go too long, you're drowsy. You go too short, you're still drowsy. But there's like that magic little bit of time where you wake up and you're just good to go.
Yeah, 20 minutes is the exact. But I would even try and set my phone. But you know, like, hey, how long is it going to take me to actually fall asleep?
Right.
So
right.
If I usually will set my thing for 30 minutes, thinking it'll take me 5 or 10 to fall asleep. But yeah, it could be so wrong, man. But yeah, so that was my Miami experience, how New Jack almost killed me, and why everyone should watch Dark Side of the Ring on Vice.
Yeah, and let them know how you heard about the show so we can get that sweet sponsor money.
Yeah, send an email. By the way, all of our episodes will be up on YouTube. They're going up one every day. It took me a long time to get that all going. So hopefully that'll help us get some sponsors rolling in too. But yes, sponsor us.
How far along in that process are we? Do you know?
Let's see. I started getting things uploaded maybe like 2 weeks ago. So there's maybe like 10 online so far. And then we have another 60, 70 days ahead of us because I don't have it going up on weekends. So we...
right. Because that makes sense, man. You got to have a few days of rest.
Yeah, we got to get those sponsors rolling in, man. If you want on board, jump on now.
Oh, absolutely. Because when we take off, we're just not going to be interested, man.
Nope. So
yeah, man, they're there. I'm seeing them. They're nice. They're accessible. Starting to get them views, son.
The important thing is to me that they're all uniformly formatted. Like everything is nice and uniform and perfect. Like if there was a misspelling or like any type of way to categorize it that was off, that would bother me. So that was a lot of the job, Pete.
I feel like you're calling me out for the way that I post these things.
Oh no, you kill it. No. No, you're great. Everything you post is uniform, but I see so many people put stuff online that isn't, and that's what I mean. Is like so many people will like if you put up something with like a misspelling or a bad typo, or every episode you put up is like typed a different way, or every episode you put up is super vastly different for some reason. That's not good, man. Even the biographies need to be kind of uniform. I'm OCD.
That's fair, man. The most recent posting is Red Hot Hino Peppers, which I think is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's another thing I want to ask the listeners too. If all of our listeners would be so kind as to let us know what your favorite episodes are, because we might go ahead and pick and choose a few just to promote a little extra. So if you want to let us know off the top of your head, what are one or two of your favorite episodes? Because maybe we'll promote that. Maybe we'll retell the story. Maybe we'll make a video of it, and I'll try and reenact it all myself. Who knows?
Wouldn't that be something? The podcast becomes sketch. Jake's reenacting prior events from his life.
Yeah, or maybe it's something eventually we'll give to Patreon members. But yeah, so let us know what your favorite episodes are. In going through the back catalog, it made me forget of a few of the episodes and a few of the stories, which is another reason why I like doing this, and it's a reason why I journal so much stuff when I'm traveling is I forget. I was like, oh man, yes, I loved that story, but I'd already forgot it, and that was a year ago, Pete. So
because of Jake's brain damage, this now serves as his memoirs.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. This is my living memoir because of my CTE, which is also a thing that's kind of discussed in Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh man, what hasn't Dark Side of the Ring discussed? I mean, when you think about it,
anything happy.
Oh, that's fair. That's probably fair.
Yep, anything happy. So anyway, man. Thank you for listening, everybody. We are at Off the Cliff Pod. I'm at JColeman2012. Pete is at Multimedia Hustle. We appreciate you listening, and let's keep getting through this quarantine together.